Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of Heads Up Hockey. This is Jersey Joe once again, and I got a good friend of the podcast coming back on, and you probably know him from Full Press Hockey, and he's also the WrestleMania guy. You know him as Jim Biringer. He'll be coming on any moment, and we'll be talking a lot of New Jersey Devil stuff, a lot of wild card race, playoff implications, uh, Connor Bedard sweepstakes, stuff like that. Maybe a little controversy with goal calls randomly. Well, this is going to be all interesting. So, without further ado, I'm just waiting to see Jim pop on any given moment. So basically, the Devils are just getting hot at the right time, at the right place. They did come play a tough game against the Boston Bruins 2-1, but although they didn't get a point, they did show that they're playoff worthy and playing against the toughest team ever in NHL history. Yep. So here we go. All right, he says he's in. Oh, there he is. All right. So guess what? We got someone back.
Yo, I'm back.
Hey, it's been a while. So, anyways, Jim, before you came on, I just gave you a little bit of an introduction with the way the things have been this season with the Devils. Although they did lose 2-1 to the now 63 win Boston Bruins. Let's sum this up in a nutshell. I mean, let you take it from here for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, surprising for the Devils this year. I don't think anybody expected them to be in a position that they're in. Second place in the Metro, potentially fighting for first place. Who knows? They could potentially get it. I think they would have given themselves a better chance at it had they won Saturday. But, if you get the New York Rangers in the first round, you get the New York Rangers. But surprising, fun. It's been a good season. Guys are taking the next steps in their development. Everything that they've done is really well. But again, nobody really thought that this team would be in this position. I think surprising to pretty much sum up this season.
I will say this, like the past couple of years, I mean, before the vaccines came out and all this other stuff, when the Devils were getting injured, sick at the same time, like I knew they had the potential to eventually get to a wild card spot, but like at the start of this season, I was like, this team could at least be middle of the pack or wild card, and they went above and beyond my expectations. What were your expectations for them and all the other teams in the Metro?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the Devils were a team that we're going to be battling this year. Definitely a wild card team in my book. I don't know if I actually saw them making the playoffs, but I think the way this team was talking about not making the playoffs the last couple of years and guys really mad about not making the playoffs, I think, the fact that they are in the playoffs is a good thing. I definitely thought they were going to be a wild card team just because of the development and what was next for this team because they were up and coming. But now, look, right, second in the Metro. I mean, I think a lot of people had Columbus, to be honest, a little bit better considering the signing of Goudreau. You keep Line A around. They've been a disappointment. Flyers, I mean, I don't think anybody really expected too much from them. But then the usual suspects are there: Carolina, Rangers, Pittsburgh, Washington, Islanders. So I think they're definitely going to be battling with those teams. But like I said before, Heischer's taking next steps. Jack Hughes could be a 100-point man. Dawson Mercer's been excellent. Just the mix of everybody's just been really good. Goaltending's been a lot better. So New Jersey's definitely been exceeded my expectations. Now, for me, I always look ahead, besides staying in the moment because you got to appreciate what they've done. But you look ahead, they have to follow it up next year with another playoff berth because then this season really doesn't matter, as we've heard Tom Fitzgerald. So say that they're ahead of schedule, but I think that this team is on the right path to maintain success for a long period, as we see in Boston.
I've talked a little bit about a couple of my articles with Pucks and Pitchforks about how Tom Fitzgerald has this hybrid blueprint of the way that they want to get those hometown discounts, so to speak, and see who wants to stay long term, play to succeed for those playoff berths. They also have the fingerprints of the 08, 09 Stanley Cup Pittsburgh Penguins on that management team. Do you forecast the way not only the Devils are built, but they look like they're going to try and go further? Would they, just picking guys in from the farm system, making trades like they reinvested in a guy like a Timo Meier? Do you think that contract and that Jesper Bratt contract, will all get hammered done as soon as the playoffs are done?
Yeah, I think so. I think both will get done. I think Tom Fitzgerald's trying to get Bratt done first, but we know how hard that's been, and I think he wants Bratt inside that system. I think he wants to lock him under 8. And it would be ideal if you can get Meier around 8 too. That way, everybody's at Jack's level, and I think that's what they want to do. I think Meier is the guy that's probably going to be over Jack as much as they don't want to do it. I think Dougie and Meier will probably be your top 2 guys, and then there's Jack, and then Bratt, and then Nico Hischier, and so on down the list, because I just, you can't emphasize enough, you can't have 2 guys, 3 guys making that kind of money, especially if you want to have long-term success and you want to bring guys back. These things will get done. They always do. Bratt's will probably take longer than Myers. If Bratt doesn't get done first, Meier will get done, and they'll figure it out. They always do. But he has to come to terms, Bratt, that he's gonna get paid what he's gonna get paid despite what he wants. And I think he'll settle in around 7.5. I think that's probably where they're gonna settle. It'll be above what Nico makes, but below Jack. And I think you're probably gonna get, if you can, you try to get Meier in at 8.5, but I think he's probably coming in at 9. I just don't think it's not out of the question or in the question of whether or not they can do it. I think that's what he wants, and I think that's probably what they're going to pay him. But hey, if it's a win if they get him under $9 million, because that would be a huge for them to go out and keep some other guys. You look around. This team has 5 UFAs, and as I wrote on in NHLRumors.com, you look at Eric Collett, Tomas Tatar, you have Miles Wood, you have Damon Severson, Ryan Graves. Now, out of those guys, 5 guys, can you bring back 3? Yes. I think Wood and Severson are walking. I think they're gone. I don't think they figure out a way to bring. I don't think you can bring those guys back. Graves is a guy I think they can sign if they can get him reasonably. Same with Tatar and Hall. I just think they're so good locker room guys. You get them in reasonable contracts, I think you're pretty much set. The thing for me is down the road what that Palat contract's gonna, do to this team. Eventually maybe they're gonna have to move on, but for right now it's fine.
Yeah, I don't really get on Palat so much. I mean, He's a veteran. He's been around. He's won a couple Stanley Cups in his name. And this is the time of year where he starts to shine. And you want this to rub off on the guys like, let's say, Luke Hughes, for instance. I know he's a defenseman, but he wants to learn from guys who've been there, done that. You want to learn from the creme de la creme, as the French like to say, the best of the best. So, Jim, you know this very well. You've seen how things go down in the ring with wrestling. Playoff hockey, very physical, scary, intimidating. What do you think of guys like Curtis Lazar giving the Devils a little extra edge and feistiness when it comes to a team like, let's say, the New York Rangers?
So here's the thing. So if you look at the matchups, right, the Rangers, and I don't want this to come out of context the wrong way, but the players on that team are dumb enough to chase the Rangers around, the Devils around. Like they are. Their bottom pair, they're physical. I get it. Their bottom two lines, bottom six, very physical. Their top two lines will chase the Devils' top two lines. And we've seen it this regular season. It is playoff hockey is different, and you saw it Saturday, and you've seen when the Devils get pushed around, they are a small team. Their top guys outside of Meyer, why they brought him in, he's a power forward, Tatar, Hala, guys like that. But if you move Heischer and Hughes around, they don't really push too much back because you can knock them off their game. And you could see that the Devils have to make adjustments. Now, if I'm in a coaching room, I'm looking at that Boston tape and I'm saying to the guys, this week and heading into the playoffs, if we're down, we have to learn to change our game. We can't come through the neutral zone with speed as much. We're going to have to learn to chip pucks, sit deep, and go and be physical and win puck battles. Because Boston, when they're up 2-1, third period, the Devils had chances, but they locked it down. And, I continuously will say this. The neutral zone traps still exist, a version of it anyway. It's not 95. It's not 2000, 2003 Devils version of it, but it still exists when it matters. The Lightning still play it. Boston plays it. The Islanders play it. When you need to hold on to your lead, that's what you do. And the Devils have yet to show me they can adjust to that kind of game because, the Islanders pushed them around. Boston's pushed them around. They've hung tough with Boston. They just can't figure out a way to beat that team. They had chances. Don't get me wrong. They had chances to tie the game and, do everything. But Boston's just a better team. But they hung tough. But they have to make the minor adjustments that win in playoff hockey to go and make a deep run. And they can. They're a dark horse team, no doubt. I don't think a lot of people expect a lot of things. I think whoever they match up with, if they have home ice and they're the number one seed in the Metro, okay, they may be favorites. I will tell you this right now. If they match up with the Rangers, which most likely they will, the Rangers are the favorite in that series. All the pressure is on the Rangers to win that series because of what they did last year. That's not a knock on what New Jersey's done this year. They just, outside of a couple of guys who played 5 games in 2018, they don't have a lot of playoff experience besides Marino and Hamilton and Hala and Palat. Like the core group doesn't have a lot of playoff experience. Now, having those guys in the room will help, but they're going to have to adjust, and this coaching staff's going to have to adjust to playing a different style of game once the puck drops April 17th. Now, again, we don't know what day the Devils will start, April 17th, 18th. We don't know yet. But whoever they play, they're going to have to make adjustments because I've seen it way too much lately, especially late in games when they're trailing. They just don't know how to adjust to that style.
Talk about the coaching staff, and I want to go over that a little bit more, emphasize that. And Rogalski's been around with St. Louis winning the Stanley Cup in that historical, magical year, which rarely ever happens, going from worst to winning it all. And then you have Andrew Brunette basically being the President's Trophy winner coach with the Florida Panthers last season. Then you have the past 5 out of 6 seasons with Vegas. You have Andrew Brunette not Andrew Brunette, Ryan McGill in Las Vegas being the defense coach, and they making the playoffs the first time around. And then he ended up, being one of the key factors, part of that Vegas defense.
Yeah, I mean, look, Andrew Brunette, he gets slack last year because of what happened in the playoffs, and rightfully so, because outside of Carter Verhaeghe taking out the Washington Capitals on his own, the Florida Panthers should have lost in the first round last year, and they ultimately lost in 4 games to Tampa Bay because they just didn't make the proper adjustments. Now, is that all on Brunette? No, but he got slack for it. I don't know if Paul Maurice is going to help that. I mean, they're battling for their playoff lives right now. I just wasn't. I'm a Maurice guy. I like Paul Maurice. I like what he did in Winnipeg. I like what he's done around the league. I'm just not sure if he was the right guy, but right now they're I think the right guy was Keith Tkachuk telling the Florida Panthers they were too soft. But as far as this staff goes, I like the adjustments they made on the power play. Putting Meyer in that bumper position really's really helped the power play. Defensively, they're better. They still make mistakes. They still got to be able to get, and that's another thing that drives me crazy. And it drove me crazy when watching the championship teams. This team just still doesn't know how to get the puck out of the zone when it matters in crunch time. They got to be able to win faceoffs. That is another thing that they're going to have to work on too. But overall, I think they've done a really good job of, penalty kill, power play, defensive structure. When the Devils lose, it's the same thing. Turnovers, mistakes in their own end, getting just beat. Dougie Hamilton has to limit the turnovers. Dougie Hamilton has to be more defensively sound, but that's not who he is. That's why you have Siegenthaler there. That's why Kevin Ball's taking the steps he's done. But overall, I think the staff's done a good job. Now it's going to be interesting what they do going forward. Does Lindsey Ruff come back? Do they promote somebody? Does he stay around? And I guess he's probably sticking around maybe another year or two. But 4 guys are ready to come in and take over. But what I've liked is they've, especially when Meyer came in power play, they weren't sure what they were doing. Now they have everything set. The penalty killers are there. I like what Curtis Cesar brings when he gets back in the lineup. BMW line is playing really well. Eric Hollis made the difference. And Mikey McLeod too. You can't forget about what he's done. He's for where he was drafted, what his role is now. The fact that he's one of the best face-off men on the team. I believe he's winning over, like 55% of the draws now. He's done really well. We'll see how long he's out. Obviously, what happened Saturday night. Everybody knows my feelings on Brad Marchand, and that play, I thought it was not necessary, especially when you're winning. But hey, the Devils have what it takes to make a deep run. Will they? We're going to find out, because the goaltending is going to be the thing that's going to be tested.
Yeah, I question how the Devils will move things going forward. I mean, right after the playoffs, regardless if they go on a deep run, I can see the way that they're set up, nearer term. They have the assets to do it. Tom Fitzgerald's pretty much playing with house money at this time, and the Metropolitans started to shift a little. Now, we talk about the Rangers looking at the last 2 tries at the bucket, as we like to think as it could happen. Washington, is on the end of their better years. Pittsburgh is on their last bits. Maybe the Islanders, those 2, competing for the last spot.
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, I think the Islanders are in a better position than the Penguins are, just because you have Barzal, Horvat locked up for a while, and guys that come in like Parise, Palmieri, guys like that. Well, Parise's still got a couple years left on his deal, but Parise's a guy that can be just signed a league minimum. He can bring guys in for the league minimum, and it works. And defensively, they're good. They have a great goaltender that's probably going to win Vezina trophies down the line. For me, I think Pittsburgh, Washington, everybody knew coming into the season, Pittsburgh and Washington were the teams that everybody was looking at. They were going to take a step back. Well, Washington's not there. And, Darcy Kemper, I'm not a fan of. Didn't think he was going to be able to propel the Washington Capitals into the playoffs. I know the injuries to key guys, but still, this team was not good defensively, even when they were in there. And Pittsburgh, you bring the band back together, but at what cost? Because your depth scoring is not there. Defensively, they're not as good. Obviously, the trade that sent John Marino to New Jersey for Ty Smith, and that's a great play by Tom Fitzgerald, because he takes advantage of a team up against the cap, because they chose to bring back Letang and Malkin. To me, you couldn't bring back both guys, and you could see it now. Yeah, Sidney Crosby's still the best player in the game. Yeah, he's the most complete player. Yeah, he's got 1,500 points. Yeah, he willed his team to win against Detroit. But guess what? In games that matter against the division, you got swept by Carolina, you got swept by the Devils, you got swept by the Islanders. They can't win games inside the division against teams that have owned them recently. And let's be honest, they haven't won a playoff series since 2018. They've lost in the first round and, in my opinion, didn't qualify for the playoffs the one year they lost in a bubble. They've always come up short because their goaltending is not good enough. And they had chances to do it, and they didn't do it. And they just pick up Mikael Granlund, and he really hasn't done anything. And that contract's going to look just as bad as the other ones do. So I think the Penguins they're on the back end. Now they can all rebound next year, but I just don't think so because I think changes are coming in Pittsburgh regardless this year. I think, I don't know Mike Sullivan, but I think management is probably going to change because it's just not good enough. I think Letang was the guy you bring back defensively. You know what he's done. Malkin, you could have let walk, but I understand they all want to retire Penguins. Well, Marc-Andre Fleury wanted to retire Penguin too, and they had to make a tough decision. So, we can't appease everybody. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward. But, New Jersey was going to get better. Everybody knew the Devils. They couldn't get worse, right? They couldn't get worse. They couldn't use 8 goaltenders again. The Devils were going to get better. That was a given. The Islanders were going to be there because of their goaltending. Carolina's still Carolina, and the Rangers are the Rangers. And regardless if they re-sign Patrick Kane and Tarasenko, they still have a good team. And they're going to be around for a while. Let's just face facts. It's going to be the Metro, these top 3 teams. If the Devils continue their trajectory, which I think they will, it'll be like the Atlantic top 3 teams. And now other teams are fighting for wild card spot.
The Rangers still going to be around for the next at least 2 seasons. I mean, you look at some of those cap crunches, they got some other guys this offseason that they have to worry about. And, Tarasenko is someone they're going to have to keep. But does Patrick Kane really fit near or longer term? Now, my question is, I see that he's a defensive liability, and he used to be, a very big dynamo, maybe 6-7 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago. But Father Time, it seems to just be catching up with him. And I spoke with a Ranger fan telling me that, Kane and Panarin pass too much on that one line. And Panarin is supposed to be more of a shooter. And a friend of the show, Neil Villapiana, goes, well, Panarin is a very underrated passer. And I heard from that same Ranger fan talking to Neil and I saying that, they don't shoot enough. And I say that's the Devils' problem as well. They need to shoot more.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was there for Kane's first game. The Rangers kind of just catered to him, and they shouldn't have. And you could see Gerard Gallant after a couple games when those 2 guys weren't working well together. All right, time to split them up. And that's what they did. And now they're rolling, their top lines. Kane's still battling an injury. Obviously, we all know it's his hip, but, he'll be ready to go. Guys are going to be ready to go. But regardless of Kane and Tarasenko, obviously Lafreniere is still a guy that they're going to have to re-sign. And, does he take a bridge deal to keep everything going like they do? Now, it's all going to depend on how, deep they make a run. Obviously, they went to the Eastern Conference Final last year. And, we're going to see if they can do it again. But it's going to be very, very tough because the first-round opponent, most likely the Devils, we know what this series is going to be. It's going to whoever comes out of that may not make it past Carolina, or if Carolina, whoever faces Carolina, because it's just, when those 2 teams play, they always take the best out of each other. So be very, very interesting. But the Rangers are going to be around for a little bit just because of the talent that they have. Defensively, they're good, and obviously Shesterkin. And that's what it's about for the Rangers right now. But New Jersey has weapons to beat them in a power play. Look, you go back to the last regular season game between the Devils and Rangers, and you think about it. New Jersey dominated the first period. That probably should have been up 4-5-0. Shesterkin made great saves, and you tip his cap to him. He's the reason why it was only 2-0 after 1 period. But then you flip it. Vitek Vanacek's the reason why the Devils won the game because the Rangers were all over the Devils in the 3rd period, and the Devils sat on that lead. And if it wasn't for Vanacek, maybe the Rangers win that game, and we're talking about a different story now. But so the Devils have the goaltending. Vanacek can step up when he wants to. I'm going to be interested to see what he does in the playoffs. But tip of your cap to what they've done this year. This goaltending, Schmid and Blackwood even. I know he gets a lot of heck from Devils fans. Him and Severson, both of them get so much heck from teams. But both guys have been playing really well this year. It's going to be interesting to see. Do the Devils feel that Schmid's going to be the guy next year? If not, do you roll it back one more time? There's a lot of question marks with this team, but right now you got to live in the moment. And Stanley Cup playoff, it's something that the Devils fans haven't seen since 2018, and hopefully this is the start of another run like we saw from '97 through about 2010.
You obviously want to see that long stretch of window, and it's just like I talked to people on the podcast about how the Devils have so many really good players from each draft class since 2017 going onward, that the Devils don't really need to have that first round pick anymore to be dominant. They can develop a kid from rounds 2 through 7 and still get a phenomenal gem. Like, look, they got Josh Philman, who was a late round pick last draft. And guess what? I looked at the way he's projected to be similar, if not slightly better than a Blake Coleman. And if he and other prospects come in and stay in this pipeline and get developed the right way and eventually make the Devils could be onto something really good for a long time. And they could move excess pieces like Miles Wood, let them walk in free agency. You and I both despise Miles Wood for those dumb penalties.
Every game. Well, I mean, recently he's been good, but it seems like it's guaranteed. If there was a bet on DraftKings or FanDuel or somebody, Miles Wood offensive zone penalty happens. Guaranteed every time it happens. And the problem is, if the Devils are going to bring him back, they can't bring him back at the salary that he's making now. It's just not that. He's not that player. So he'd have to take a pay cut. Now, we'll see. Who knows? Because I really like that fourth line, but I think they have guys that can fill that need, that can fill that role. That Miles Wood does. I really love
Nolan Foote playing on that bottom fourth line.
Yeah, I mean, Nolan Foote looks good. Lazar, I think, has another year left on his deal. So you have guys that you can plug and play there. Same with the third line. Jesper Boquist is just, Tom Fitzgerald said it the best at the beginning of the year, throughout the year. This team, the guys on this team adapted to the roles they were in, and they succeeded because they knew what their roles were as role players. We saw that on all the Devils championship teams, seeing other teams that made deep playoff runs. When guys understand their roles and they execute them, you're going to have success. We know what Jack can do. We can know what Nico can do, Meyer, Dawson Mercer, all of that. When you have guys playing roles, key roles, big roles, penalty kill, big-time face-offs, guys developing the right way, then the team's going to have success. And you look at the back end, Siegenthaler, Hamilton, you look at Kevin Ball, John Marino's been huge, Ryan Graves has been huge. So this Devils team, top to bottom, they have really good depth, and that's a big thing to them. And they've drafted well, and they developed well, and that's why they don't need their first-round picks right now. And that's why they had to give up a guy like Makir Mohammadulin, and, so all those guys. Like, that's
yes.
Yeah, I mean, they had to give up guys like a Zetterlund and guys like that to get a Meyer. But you know what? It's okay because this team is in a really good place because their cupboard's full. It wasn't like that, and you got to give credit to Tom Fitzgerald and what he's done. And we're going to see going forward. But New Jersey's in a really good spot. And look, you never know when the Stanley Cup playoffs happen because anything can happen. We've seen teams come out of nowhere. I mean, look, the Islanders, the 2 years they went back conference finals. Did anybody think the Islanders were going to go that far? No. So it can happen. Look, I know teams have plans. I know teams have long-term plans. But I've talked to several people inside the league. They say it's a year-to-year plan. If you have an opportunity to win, you have to take that opportunity to win. And that's why the Devils went out and made the trade for Timo Meier, because the opportunity was there. It's a year to year. Everybody wants to win. So it's really a year to year plan. It's not a 5-year plan. It's not this long time. Outside of the teams at the bottom who are rebuilding, the Devils are not in that phase anymore. They are now in that year to year plan where the opportunity is there. They're going to add somebody and try to go win. And that's what they did. And now you got to just re-sign these guys. And I think they will. They're definitely going to do it. It's just going to take time. And that's what people need to understand. It's not going to happen overnight.
And I'm going to put this out there, like over the years, when the Devils started slowly attracting really good draft prospects into their pool, now the Devils made some of those key trades to make guys like Dougie Hamilton. You obviously knew at the time ahead of schedule that he was going to be a double. And now the Devils have guys like Timo Meier, who they became very attractive for via trade, because they had that connection with the Swiss players on the team, like Nico and of course Jonas and Akira Schmid. Now, when they extend those guys, eventually when they have to make other moves to make room for other players, eventually down the road, maybe another year and a half, they're going to have to say, they hear rumors saying, oh, player A is interested in coming to New Jersey, and the Devils are looking to invest in that player. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's good their Devils are finally getting guys to come here, because a lot of free agents didn't want to come here. Dougie was the first. They got him to come here. They got him to sign. But a lot of guys didn't want to play in Newark, and now you're seeing the culture that they're building with the team. And New Jersey's a good state to live in, and where the players actually live are a nice area to live in. Where they play the game is, well, that's up for debate. But everybody knows my feelings on Newark, and I'm a Meadowlands guy. I always have been, because it's close to my house. So I'm kind of biased, but the team is selling itself. And if the team continues to win, you see it. The fans are back. The fans are loud. The place is fun to go to. The players love it. They feed off the crowd. They feed off the energy. Well, the team continues to win. They're going to attract free agents that want to come here, because they're going to say, oh, the Devils, they're a winning team now. We can go there. There was, and this is a real sidetrack real quick. Everybody's seen what the Lightning have done, and it took some time. But even when they weren't winning, they were attracting guys because they showed there was something going on there. And it became a hot spot for guys to go to, because guys are like, oh, it's Florida, it's Tampa, it's nice weather, good team. Obviously put the Cups aside, even when they did, their first Cup came in 2004, but even before that, we're actually a pretty decent team. Yeah, they didn't have great success, but they were still pretty good. Now they've won a couple more Cups, even in between the time. There was an opportunity for the Arizona Coyotes to be Tampa Bay West, and it never happened because there's no plan. There was nothing. Teams in disarray and arena problems and all this stuff. There was a really good opportunity there. The Devils have taken the opportunity of winning and attracting guys to come here, because, I don't know if, you'd ever say that a guy like Dougie Hamilton would have come here. And look, the Devils won the bidding war because Carolina ownership is cheap and they weren't going to re-sign him to that money. So, and that's why they went through Tony DeAngelo and guys like that. And they brought in Shane Gostisbehere because they do it a certain way. But now the Devils are winning and they could take another step. You could see some other names coming here that are like, hey, New Jersey. You hear all the rumors. Oh, it's New Jersey. It's this guy. It's this guy. Well, sometimes yes and sometimes no. But one thing's for sure, if this team keeps winning, there's going to be more things like that.
Yeah, We were both spooked, not spooked, but we were both. Uh, I feel like ghosted is the better word by the Matthew Tkachuk rumors, but I'm glad he didn't because the price to pay for that return on investment wouldn't pay off handsomely for the Devils in the near and long term. And Calgary officially is out of the playoffs from what I heard from.
Well, the yes and no, yes and no. They still are alive to a point. If Winnipeg wins tonight and Calgary loses, they're done. Let's be honest. They needed to beat Chicago last week. But yeah, I mean, look, nothing against those guys, and they do a good job. But I will say, you get some stuff wrong, and I'm not saying they get it wrong all the time. But Calgary technically is mathematically alive still because Winnipeg is yet to show me that they can close out the Calgary Flames. And Calgary plays Nashville Monday night. Calgary wins, they're still there. Nashville goes bye-bye. But if it goes the other way, Calgary's done. And Winnipeg has to do their job against San Jose. Now, let's go back to Saturday on 32 Thoughts. If you've read anything I've written, listened to anything I've said since before the trade deadline about Colorado and Gabriel Landeskog, I said he wasn't playing in the regular season. Fact check it. Go find it. It's out there. Finally, those guys got on board because there was, potentially he could play mid-March. This and that. No, he was not playing in the regular season. He was Nikita Kucherov 2.0. Colorado was going to do that. He's going to be ready for game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoff. If he isn't, then this injury is more serious than everybody thinks it's going to be. But this team is going to have Landeskog back, and they're going to have McCarr back, and so on and so forth. I love those guys. They do a really good job. They're some of the best in the business. But sometimes they get full of themselves, and sometimes I do too. But hey, I know stuff. So, because I've covered this game a long time and I've played it, and I can see things. And everybody saw the Landeskog thing coming. And I have nothing but love for those guys. But Calgary has a chance still. Like Buffalo still has a chance. Now, if Buffalo loses against the Rangers, they're out. Bye. See ya. Gone. If Calgary beats Nashville, they're still mathematically alive because technically if Winnipeg loses, now Calgary's in first place. Now, I know they don't have as many games as Winnipeg does, but still.
We've seen Winnipeg, we've seen Winnipeg outplay the Devils recently, and I have faith that Winnipeg could possibly turn on the Jets, so to speak, and keep up that pace of winning that wild card. But Calgary is a bit streaky at times. Like they do have some cold tending, but they don't have that stability like they did last year in net or on defense. But I do like their offense. But is that going to allow them to go through the first round if they make it?
Look, here's the problem with Calgary. You tried to play fantasy hockey and you couldn't do it. Like you plug him, you took out Matthew Tkachuk, put in Jonathan Huberdeau. Johnny Gaudreau left. Nazem Kadri. I think Nazem Kadri has a great year, but he was on Colorado last year. He was a second-line center, and he played first-line minutes sometimes and racked up his points. Huberdeau's a passer. Elias Himmelm's not a 40-goal scorer. Mangiapane's not a 35-goal scorer. Jacob Markstrom's played a lot better than he's played all year. But again, if you want to make the playoffs, you can't lose to Anaheim and you can't lose to Chicago. Those are points you can't give away. The Calgary Flames left 3 points on the table last week with a shootout loss to Vancouver and a loss to Chicago. And in there, they beat Winnipeg. Just imagine if they picked up points against Chicago and Vancouver. There'd be a lot more confident people in Calgary right now. And they've been consistently inconsistent. this year, and they just haven't beaten the bad teams. Look what New Jersey did on Thursday to Columbus. They beat the crap out of them. That's what playoff teams do. You beat up on bad teams. And that's what you have to do if you want to make the playoffs. And that's what Winnipeg needs to do against San Jose. Plain and simple. You want to make the playoffs, Winnipeg, you got to beat the Sharks. Straight up.
And this is why it's so hard to project the Western Conference to begin with, because it's so competitive, but you just don't know if even the top team is going to slug out the worst of the worst. You speak to the truth of it, and with the Eastern Conference, it's just the opposite for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know who the best team in the East is. You know the best team in the league is Boston Bruins, record-setting 63 wins. David Pastrnak, 60 goals, second Bruins player ever score 60 goals in a season. Behind, you guessed it, Phil Esposito. Behind them, hey, is it New Jersey? Is it the Rangers? Is it Carolina? Toronto? Tampa? Who's the second best team in the East? It's up for debate. Florida, I think, finds a way to get in. Even though they have a tough schedule, I think they find a way. Then that leaves the Islanders and the Penguins. The Penguins find a way to get in, they're going to be bounced in the first round. The Islanders figure out a way to beat the Capitals, who've been their Achilles heel. They're getting in because they have the Canadiens, and that should be an easy win for them. And it's on home ice. And Sorokin don't lose on home ice.
Yeah.
So So to me, I think we're status quo here in the East. I think Florida.
The 40-minute lap over.
Hey, it's all right. You know, this is what we do. You know, we always go over. That's how we always roll on the podcast. So, you know, I was talking about, what was I saying? The East, you know, I was talking about the Islanders and, you know, Pittsburgh and the Panthers. You know, Panthers have a little bit of easier schedule. I mean, they have a tougher schedule, really, with Toronto and Carolina. You know, the Islanders, you know, they got the Capitals, finished with the Canadiens. They're good on home ice. You know, Penguins. You know, if things stay status quo, those are the teams I see getting in. It's going to be a challenge for whoever faces, you know, let's be honest, you know, Florida faces Carolina and the Islanders play Boston. I'm not saying that, you know, they're going to upset teams, but, you know, the way Florida's playing playoff hockey, they may be able to knock out those Hurricanes in the first round. So, and then you look at the Western Conference, right? Colorado back from the dead, Undertaker style. You know, they rise up, and you have Landeskog coming back, Makar. They're first in the Central. Everybody expected that. Minnesota, Dallas. You know, Dallas got a big game tonight. And you go in the Pacific. I mean, Vegas, Oilers, Kings. You know, I think Kings are, you know, and Kings got to get back on the winning ways, or else they could fall into the wild card, and Seattle could be there. Seattle's in the playoffs. You know, if you get Edmonton and LA rematch, that's going to be good. The way the Oilers have been playing 7 in a row, they might be able to catch Vegas, get that top spot, and then we got a quick versus Kings, you know, first round series, which would be juicy. I would like that. Get your popcorn ready for that one. But, you know, it's the most exciting time. You know, for me, this is why you don't need to expand the playoffs. This is why we don't need this play-in tournament that we see in a basketball, where it's just bad basketball and it doesn't make sense. Because these games matter. We have another elimination game for Nashville tonight. They lose, they're pretty much done. You know, every game matters down the stretch. Only a couple left. Playoffs gets going on April 17th.
By the time we put out this podcast, we already know the situation with the Sabres-Rangers game, and we'll figure if, you know, the Sabres upset the Rangers at Madison Square Garden or wherever it's at. But if Devon Levi pulls off the stops, he could be the Devils fans' favorite upset king of the season.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's definitely gonna be able to pull the upset. I mean, they did it last time, but the Rangers are missing some guys. And guess what? You know what? It's at Madison Square Garden. They're playing well. The Rangers really don't lose games at home ice, but you never know. I've seen it where they've lost. They lost to an Ottawa Senators team that can come in, and Buffalo's playing for the playoff lives. And you have Tuck and you have Thompson. You have all those guys that are playing really well right now. And guess what? anything can happen because Buffalo's playing hard. And we saw it with that 18-19. Columbus played for their playoff life. Every game was playoff hockey. When the playoffs came around, they were ready. Tampa wasn't. But then again, look, I will say this. Tampa's up 3-0 in game one. If they don't blow it, I think it's a different series. But they did, and they're out. And that's what happened. But still, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens down the stretch.
I was going to say, it was one of those, hey, what do you say? And matter of fact, I don't mean to get you started, but that whole Leah Hextall not giving John Forsland any credit, that was Bush League.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's things that I like about TNT, like about ESPN, certain people. I mean, Jersey girl Emily Kaplan killing it as they do, whether people get on her case or not. But still, hey, Weeksy kills it. PK, does his thing in the studio. But look, the games matter. Enjoy it. We're gonna see what happens. Look, the Devils get a Buffalo team on a back-to-back Tuesday night. They get a Capitals team that stinks. They could lock up if Buffalo somehow beats the Rangers tonight, which is there's a good probability it could happen. Anything can happen. Devils will have home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs. If by some miracle, Canes lose again, which is a possibility. Ottawa's always been tricky at home. They find a way to win. Devils' first place is still up there. So, there's a lot of. I mean, to me, the games I'm circling tonight: Islanders, Caps, Florida, Toronto, Buffalo, the Rangers, and then obviously Calgary and Nashville. And then you get the two late games because let's be honest. Like I said, Seattle there's a possibility they could pass the Kings. And if that happens, look out. So, look, it's wild. It's crazy. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. And it's no better time to be a hockey fan.
I'm saying this for a while, but not only do you celebrate with seltzers, but you've been celebrating with a lot of seltzers this whole entire year. At least 50 of them have been consumed already.
Easily 50, if not the ones that don't. The days off day game days, we always have them. But still, look, Devils are playing well. We'll see what happens. Playoff hockey's right around the corner for New Jersey and their fans. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Just enjoy it because you don't get it all the time, and it's fun to be a Devils fan again.
And once again, I always tell people to go out there, support the team, like the famous David Putty once said, let's get it on. I mean, what else can you say right now? I mean, look, you got to support the team.
Yeah, Devils, baby. You got to support the team. Watch it wherever you can. Look, team, I said it earlier. Fans are coming out. It's winning. It's contagious. So, again, down the road, we're going to see what happens. Team's in good hands. Future's bright. And can't wait for the playoffs to start. I'm ready.
And I was going to say, Jim, plug away your stuff. I know you're on Full Press, but what are some other places that they can find you, the listeners?
Yeah, so check it out. FullPressHockey.com. Check me out there. Latest articles are always up. Final power rankings this week. Got a new one up about the race to Stanley Cup playoffs. We're going to have playoff previews around the action. Check me out, NHLRumors.com as well. I have a new article up from there about the Devils offseason, about how it's going to be busier than people think, more busier than people think it's going to be. Check me out at Jim Biringer on Twitter. You get the nightcap recap stuff, everything. Jersey Jim 33 on Instagram, Facebook. I'm everywhere. Wall Mike Richards at 8:10 on Mondays. The boys, Tanner, Buffoons and Bodkins. Check it out. Let's Talk Sports tonight, 9:30. And Full Press NH weekly hockey show moved up from Wednesday this week to Monday because of commitments. 7:30 on Twitter at Full Press NHL. You want to check it out. It's going to be fun. We're going to have some fun tonight, talking a lot of fun things. Connor McDavid, Crosby, Bruins, a whole 9 yards of a mess of a potpourri of things. But as I always say, just enjoy the hockey because it's the best time of year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
That's the World Juniors, but I'll take it too.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's the most wonderful time of
Yes, it
year
is.
for playoff hockey to kick in.
It is. It is. It is. Absolutely.
But I will say this. I mean, for those of you who don't know me well enough, I've been doing this podcast almost 5 seasons, over 4 years easily.
Yeah.
And Jim's been part of the start of it. And, I've started back and forth with Pucks and Pitchforks and a few other blogs, and went back to Pucks and Pitchforks. And it's just been fun being back with them and, on fan sided. But don't want to hold Jim up too long, but I really am excited with how everything has been this season, and hopefully we get to see it's a good success in the doubles first round, and you know people just embrace the NHL's most important time of year, and whoever wins the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, I hope that kid goes out west.
Look, to me, I'll wrap up with this. I think whoever gets Bedard is going to have a great player, he's generational talent. He's going to succeed wherever he goes. I'd like to see him go out west. I'd like to see him stay in Vancouver region. That would be great for that team. Anaheim, it would be great to see him with Trevor Zegras. Heck, even if he goes to Columbus, that would be good for them too. So we're going to see what happens with this Bedard stuff, but look out, man. This kid's going to be something special when he comes to the NHL.
Yeah, and
don't sleep on Fantilli and the Swede as well. I mean, those guys.
Leo Carlson, yes.
Leo Carlson. Those guys are going to be good players too. So don't sleep on those kids just because you didn't get Bedard.
No, I'm not sleeping on those guys either. I mean, the whole Matvei Michkov situation, whoever gets him is going to be very blessed to have him. But, well, I mean, the draft lottery is going to depict the future of other teams in the top 10. But I guess there's only 2 teams still that can win it.
Yeah, I think if Columbus loses or something tonight, they're out. Like, they officially have the best odds to get Bedard.
I mean, but anyhow, it's been a great great reunification tonight. And
you could say get that Jay-Z song or whoever sang it, Diddy, whoever, reunited, feels so good. Get that rap going before, because guess what? We were reunited tonight. This is only the first time. There are gonna be many, many more reunitings to come, because a lot of crossover between the full press NHL guys. You on Heads Up Hockey, we got it done. We're gonna do it, baby. We got the unification here. We're gonna do this thing. We'll ride it out.
And we could have this part of full press. And honestly,
yeah, we could. Yeah, baby, that's it.
I mean,
that's how
you
we do it here.
A couple of Ranger guys on there, so you're the one Devils guy there. So, I mean, who knows? We could square it up a little bit, but we don't need to cause chaos between the two. But everyone's on good term, and it's a good friendly rivalry.
That's it. But again, Joe, thanks for having me back on. You're killing it. Heads Up Hockey Podcast. Heads Up Hockey Podcast. We know it. We've done it so many years. You've killed it. Glad to be back and honored to have you on, have me on, and we'll repay the favor down the road. Talk some more Devils hockey, playoffs, whatever. But again, go check it out, fullpresshockey.com. I'm everywhere, voice of Full Press Hockey. So thanks again for having me on.
Thank you, Jim, for coming on, and we'll do more of this throughout the year and the next couple weeks. So stay tuned, folks, and have a great time.
Take it easy, everybody.
Take it easy.